So my name is Sarah Rosten, and I've owned Pediatric Interactions for over 20 years now. I first met Meg last year at a PPS conference, which was pretty ironic because I am a speech therapy practice owner that's pediatric. Met with Meg, but I was very intrigued because I was looking for something that I could give my staff training, something that was consistent. And I would say the reason that I went with Meg was after talking with them, learning what programs you already had, but also what programs we could create together with it. And Meg was very open to suggestions that I had of what other practices might need from a pediatric standpoint, as well as a non-physical therapy standpoint. Before Meg, I was responsible for all the trainings. I, being a speech therapist and then becoming the owner of multi-therapists, I didn't have the training in leadership. I didn't have the training in business development. And so I was really just doing a lot by trial and error, and there was a lot more errors, which learned me a lot more lessons. Since coming with Meg, I've had the information presented to me, and I went through the trainings first as the owner. I felt that was really important. I understood before I just started assigning things. What I loved about Meg was I could pick and choose different modules of who I wanted to watch what and when I wanted them to watch it. So it might not have been the sequential start to finish of this training or this certification. And I found that really beneficial to be able to have the consistency that everybody was seeing everything and I knew what they were seeing. One of my most beneficial things is I brought my office manager and my clinical director and my clinical manager all together, and we watched one of the trainings on meetings. We sat and we talked about it. I had already watched it, so I knew what key points I wanted to make. I knew what questions I wanted to prompt them with. We watched it, and then we totally changed the dynamics of our weekly meetings, giving everyone that one time to talk and then asking questions at the end, so that one person wasn't monopolizing the whole meeting and we never got to everybody else's issues. There becomes a lot more of accountability. Things are written out. And the other thing is there's a lot more consistency in the wording that we use. And so with the conflict resolution training, we found that really valuable because now we're all speaking the same language and we can be consistent with it. And when one of us isn't following along that lines, we can go back to some of what was the training about and bring that back and regroup because we all have that knowledge as a foundation. So with my office manager and my office staff, even my clinical directors completing the trainings, we were able to take the information and use bits of it, but I felt that there was still a lack of understanding the pediatric population and understanding other disciplines. I feel that as I've watched it transition over the past year, bringing on the pediatric modules has been great. And I think that then really speaks more to it. And I think there is a bigger understanding from the company that they are serving and helping more than just physical therapists and are broadening their vocabulary to do that. I have changed as a leader because I now have consistency. I have more accountability for my staff. I also have more knowledge for myself as a business owner how to run it. As a speech therapist, turning into owner, turning into clinical director, turning into finally owning the CEO title, I didn't know a lot of things that I should have known because I wasn't ever in trouble with anything. I didn't know compliance issues. I didn't have my HR book as up to date as it needed to be. And so once Meg gave me some of those resources with the file vaults, with the videos, even with the roundtables and the podcast, I felt I was much better able to be a better business owner that was more compliant and know that I was doing things right. The main reason that I recommend MEG services to other private practice owners is the wealth of information. And so not every one module might apply to every practice. There are pieces that you can find, and those pieces you can continue to use over and over and over with new staff, with current staff, revisiting those annually with staff. I would say the wealth of information that's available in documents in the file vault's very valuable. And I've really enjoyed the mastermind calls where Brian is giving some information or the rest of the team is sharing some knowledge and bringing things in. The one factor that I stayed with Meg for this long and will continue to is because of your willingness to grow into what your customers need and to add more of those services like pediatrics. When I brought Meg to my staff, they are very used to me coming back with the newest bell and whistle and something that excites me and something that can grow the company, but that also equates to sometimes more work for them. And so I think the biggest buy-in I got from my staff was by me first watching the videos, really knowing what was the content, what was relatable to us, what did I just want to bring into a training at a staff meeting versus what did I want people to be watching individually, responding back to us about, meeting with a manager about. And as I offered those pieces in chunks rather than, I got this program, take this whole certification, really giving them bite-sized nuggets at a small amount of time was how my staff really bought into it. The fact that they're always changing and evolving new programs and coming out with more information keeps me up to date as an owner that then helps support my team in leadership and compliance and hiring and meetings and just overall management of clinic operations. So if I didn't find MEG last year, I would still be reading books, creating content that was good, but it wasn't as knowledgeable as bringing in all the knowledge that's available to the MEG community and bringing it into one training. I would say that I can continue to grow with MEG as they continue to give new opportunities, especially to pediatrics.